Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. Of course, our focus would be on Bihar, where there's trouble brewing in the NDA alliance. Another alliance partner is unhappy with the seat sharing. More on that with our reporter Shan Sundar as well. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. Row over PM's radio address, Man Ki Baat. The Congress demands a blanket ban on program. Election Commission says it won't happen for now. Fresh trouble for the NDA after the LJP. Now the RLSP also expresses unhappiness over the seat-sharing agreement. Andhra Pradesh takes the first step towards drought-proofing the state, becomes the first to link two rivers, the Krishna and the Godavari. Vice President Ansari holds talks with the Cambodian Premier Hun Sen, signed 2 MOUs and discussed shoring up of economic engagement. And the government bans Naga militant outfit NSCNK for 5 years, decision after taking into account recent activities of the insurgent group. Well, our top story is, of course, about the Bihar Assembly elections, and adding fervour to the polls in Bihar, Congress, along with the RJD and the JDU, has demanded a blanket ban on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's radio program, Man Ki Baat. The Election Commission has, however, rejected the appeal.
We take strong objection to the Prime Minister misusing the state broadcaster, the public broadcaster, for political propaganda during a time when crucial elections have been announced and the election schedule also is there as issued by the Election Commission of India.
The battle for Bihar is hotting up by the day. Grand Alliance partners Congress, JDU and RJD have sought a ban on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's radio address to the nation, Man Ki Baat, till the assembly elections are over. The Grand Alliance alleges misuse of government machinery by the Prime Minister.
प्रधानमंत्री जी बोलेंगे और प्रधानमंत्री जी बोलकर जिस तरह का उनका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है गुजरात में या कहीं भी, वो मतदाताओं को प्रभावित हो सकते हैं। वो जो बातें कहें तो निश्चित रूप से सीधे सीधे उल्लंघन का मामला है आचार संहिता के, क्योंकि सरकारी संसाधन भी उसे कवर करेंगे।
मन की बात में जनता के मन की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, अपने मन की बात कर रहे हैं, अपना एजेंडा चला रहे हैं, तो कम से कम चुनाव में तो इस पर पाबंदी लगनी चाहिए।
There is definitely a very strong merit in that complaint, that during the election campaign, when the code of conduct is in operation, there are restrictions and everybody else. But does that apply to the Prime Minister or not? And if this medium is used for election propaganda, then it will definitely be a violation.
But the Election Commission disagrees. The Commission has said a blanket ban cannot be imposed on things like cabinet meetings and Man Ki Baat. It also concluded that speeches on state-run radio are intended for a nationwide audience. However, the EC has promised to act if the radio show seemed like lobbying ahead of the polls.
The Congress going to the Election Commission complaining about a social platform, saying that the Prime Minister should not even give social messages, is absolutely appalling, and it shows the frustration of Congress.
The Prime Minister's next Man Ki Baat is scheduled for the 20th of September. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the BJP-led NDA seems to be having its own share of problems ahead of the Bihar Assembly polls. The Rashtriya Lok Samta Party has expressed unhappiness over the BJP announcing its first list of candidates. The party claims that many of the seats for which the BJP has announced its candidates should really fall in its kitty. RLSP is the second alliance partner after the LJP to show discontent over the seat-sharing agreement.
Upendra Kushwaha and his party RLSP are unhappy with the first list of candidates of the BJP for the Bihar polls. RLSP has staked a claim on some of these seats. The party says BJP should not have announced names of candidates without reaching a seat-wise agreement.
निश्चित तौर से जिस तरीके से चीजें घटित हो रही हैं नहीं घटना चाहिए, लेकिन परिस्थितियां भी कुछ ऐसी है जिसमें खींचतान हो रहा है। इसका अच्छा ये नहीं है और इसे रोका जाना चाहिए।
On Tuesday, the BJP had announced a list with 43 names, out of which 19 are for the first phase. Out of the 43 candidates, almost 60% belong to the scheduled tribes or backward castes. But the party dismisses its alliance partners' unhappiness as a routine matter.
ये सही है कि हम जीतने वाला गठबंधन है, इसलिए हर सीट पर दबाव बहुत है और हर पार्टी पर दबाव है कि वो सीट उनको लड़नी चाहिए, लेकिन जितना भी एडजस्ट हो सकता है भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने पूरी कोशिश की है.
The infighting within the NDA has provided ammunition to the opposing alliance. The Grand Alliance accuses the BJP of insulting its smaller alliance partners.
रालोजपा हो चाहे लोजपा हो चाहे हम हो, तो नेता लोग तो सब सरेंडर कर दिए हैं. तो कार्यकर्ताओं में और दूसरे नीचे के नेताओं में असंतोष है, वो आ रहा है. अभी बीजेपी में भी जो है, तो ये मापदंड अलग-अलग लोग रख रहे हैं.
Besides RLSP, LJP has also made it clear that it is not happy with the seat sharing agreement. Even the Jitin Ram Manjhi-led HAM is still talking to the BJP on the issue. However, the chances of the alliance breaking up over this are remote. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's go across to our correspondent Shyam Sundar, who brought us that story. Shyam, all's not well in the NDA, though the alliance staying together for now. But this was supposed to happen. But can we see these fissures that are emerging now become wider as the election campaign picks up?
Well, Ishant, we have experience and we have seen that when there are elections and there is issues like seat sharing in alliances, these kind of issues come up during seat sharing and ticket distribution, not only in alliances but within party also. But there is a very typical thing in this NDA issue, because on one hand, leaders like Jitan Ram Manjhi and Upendra Kushwaha, they authorized Mr. Amit Shah in writing. They gave a letter to BJP President Amit Shah that he is authorized to give seats to every alliance partner of the NDA. And after that, when seat sharing is about to announce, then Jitan Ram Manjhi, he backs out and he demands for more seats. And after seat sharing announcement, now we have seen that Lok Jan Shakti Party is not. Chirag Paswan held a press conference yesterday in the capital, and he said that LJP didn't get the seats which were promised by the BJP. Now Upendra Kushwaha is saying that BJP has unilaterally announced its candidate for the seats on which Rashtriya Lok Samta Party was making claims. So there are issues, though. Every alliance partner is saying that they will not come from NDA, and their main aim is to defeat Nitish and Lalu alliance. But we have to see there is another dimension of this issue, because when leaders of different alliance partners, they talk to the main party, like the BJP's main party in this alliance, but they have to cater to their local leaders also. They have to take that kind of posture that they are making pressure on the main party, BJP.
All right, so what you're saying essentially is that all's well as far as the NDA camp is concerned. This is just posturing, but often posturing can lead to complications, and we'll have to wait and watch if it does so in this situation as well. But Shyam, thanks very much for coming in and helping us understand the story a little better. Well, that was, of course, our special on the Bihar elections, and of course, we'll be back every day with our verdict 2015. Moving on now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu today formally released water from the Godavari River into the Krishna River, linking the two rivers. The event was held at Ibrahimpatnam village near Vijayawada. The Krishna Godavari link project is seen as a major development in drought-proofing the state.
After flowing over 150 kilometers, water from Godavari River in Andhra Pradesh has finally reached Krishna River on Wednesday. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu formally released water for the last 50 kilometers on Wednesday to complete the interlinking of the rivers through the Prakasham barrage near Vijayawada. Apart from Naidu, his cabinet ministers and thousands of farmers from 13 districts witnessed the moment from the spot. The event marks a milestone in the river interlinking project. The project aims to conserve 3,000 TMC of Godavari water draining into the Bay of Bengal annually. This will facilitate drinking and irrigation in arid Rayalaseema region, which is nearly 500 kilometers away from the Godavari water. The water has travelled 160 kilometers from Pattisima to flow into the Krishna at Vijayawada. A 54-kilometer linking canal was built between Godavari and the Polavaram Right Canal. The government had conceived the project in March this year and set August 15 as the deadline. Naidu praised the project, saying it has resolved the tension between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in drawing water from Srisailam and Nagarjuna Sagar dams for irrigation in the Krishna Delta. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the government today banned the Naga militant outfit NSCNK for 5 years. The group has been involved in a series of attacks, including the killing of 18 Jawans in Manipur in June. The decision was taken at a meeting of the Union Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ban on NSCNK comes days after the National Investigation Agency declared reward for giving information about its leader Kaplang and about one of his deputies, Niki Sumi. The militant outfit had unilaterally abrogated the ceasefire agreement with the government in March. The group has a strength of about 1,000 cadres with several camps across the border.
The Government of India, after elaborate consideration and based upon objective evidence, has decided that NSCN within bracket K be declared as an unlawful organization for a period of 5 years under the provisions of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1960.
On to news from the stock markets, and the Sensex recorded its highest close in 15 days, ending 1% higher on Wednesday. Sensex had regained the 26,000 mark during intraday trade, but ended with a gain of 258 points. The Nifty rose 70 points to close just short of the 7,900 mark. The surge comes amid a 5% rise in Chinese stocks and ahead of the US Federal Reserve interest rates. Although there have been a hint of an interest rate hike for the first time in almost a decade, worries over the slowdown in the global economy has put the Fed's plans at bay. A Fed rate hike could accelerate the selling from foreign investors in Indian markets and in fact put further pressure on the rupee. The rupee in fact fell to 66.51 per dollar at a day's low. Time now for a very quick break. Coming up on the other side, a day after North Korea restarts its key nuclear reactor, the US issues a warning against irresponsible provocation. More on that on the other side.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up and the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है.
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Courting controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engage personalities to the point. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
UN Security Council reforms. Finally, a concrete step forward. UNGA agrees to adopt negotiating text for restructuring. What are India's chances of finding a permanent place on the Council? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the government has defended its decision to discontinue stamps of former Prime Ministers Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. It is said that posted stamps should honour leading lights of the nation, not members of one family. The Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said that in the definitive stamp series, the focus was on just one family, even though other names were there. He further added that a new definitive series of stamps will be issued on the advice of the Philatelic Advisory Committee. The stamps will honour Indian leaders like Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Bhagat Singh, Jayaprakash Narayan and Ram Manohar Lohia. The Congress had yesterday criticised the government's decision to discontinue the postal stamps, saying it was a sinister attempt to erase the memory of two martyr prime ministers of the country.
Here, the entire definitive series is an inclusive series, which seeks to encapsulate the contribution of all the leading lights of the freedom movement, including Jawaharlal Nehru. And this shows to our credit that we have been most liberal, understanding in giving due recognition to people.
ये बहुत ही निंदनीय काम है। जिन लोगों का स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में कोई भाग नहीं है, जिन लोगों का देश के विकास में कोई योगदान नहीं है, वो रहेंगे। और इंदिरा जी और राजीव जी को जिनको इस देश की जनता प्रेम करती थी, जिनको इस देश की जनता ने मान सम्मान के साथ अपना बहुमत दिया, उनकी तस्वीर हटा रहे हैं, तो ये गलत परंपरा है।
Now, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari today held wide-ranging talks with the Cambodian Premier Hun Sen. This on the second day of his visit. The day also saw the signing of two key memorandums of understanding to boost tourism and enhancing people-to-people contact. The Vice President's first visit to Cambodia is aimed at boosting bilateral partnerships and enhancing economic engagement with ASEAN countries, in fact, under India's new Act East policy.
Day 2 of the Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari's visit to Cambodia focus on efforts to boost economic ties between the two nations. After receiving a grand welcome at the Peace Palace in Phnom Penh, Ansari held wide-ranging talks with Cambodian Premier Hun Sen. The two sides also signed two MOUs on tourism and other on quick impact projects. Under the latter, there are 4 projects, 2 in healthcare, 1 on women's empowerment through information and communication technology, and 1 on agriculture.
Why is the number of Indian tourists so modest as far as Cambodia is concerned? I share your concern. I think we need to work on this, and the first step has been taken a few minutes back when we signed a memorandum of understanding between our two countries relating to tourism. I think on the basis of this, we can expand the infrastructure, including other facilities, airlines and other things.
In his address at the Office of the Council of Ministers, Vice President Ansari asserted that India's relationship with Cambodia was a key element in its Act East policy.
We in India value greatly our relations with Cambodia. We value it not only in bilateral terms, India-Cambodia terms, but also because this is part of a region which figures very prominently in our thinking, in our scheme of things.
India also thanked Cambodia for its support in multilateral fora, especially towards India's bid for a permanent UNSC seat. The Vice President, accompanied by his wife, will leave Cambodia for Laos on Thursday for the second leg of his visit. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And correspondent Neelu Vyas-Thomas has been covering the Vice President's visit to Cambodia. She joins us on the phone line from Phnom Penh. Thank you very much, Neelu, for talking to us. We know it's been a busy day for the Vice President, and indeed such engagement really unprecedented as far as India and Cambodia is concerned, giving a new impetus to ties between the two countries.
Absolutely, because Vice President's visit to Cambodia, and of course he's going to leave for Laos tomorrow, this is just another leg forward boosting the ties, and these are the age-old ties between India and Cambodia. But the basic, the quintessence of this entire trip has been, of course, to boost the economic ties. Now, you remember the total bilateral trade between India and Cambodia till last year was about $153.98 million. And that is a figure which yesterday also Vice President Hamid Ansari said that this bilateral investment and trade still remains below potential. So the key element of this trip basically was to boost economic ties, and under which the 4 impact assessment projects which have been signed. And also, most importantly, the most important mention actually of the day was the Mekong Ganga initiative, under which a lot of social development work will happen between India and Cambodia.
Also, one can't deny the strategic importance, and as far as India's Act East policy is concerned, the Vice President's visit forming a major part of that strategy, isn't it, Neelu?
Hello, could you repeat your question?
I was saying, as far as India's Act East policies, the Vice President's visit to Laos and Cambodia proving to be of strategic importance.
Oh, absolutely. See, Cambodia and India have had a very cordial relationship. Cambodia has been supportive of India's position in multilateral fora, including in stepping up all engagements with ASEAN. And it has also extended its unconditional support for India's bid for a permanent UNSTC. So, looking from that angle, of course, the relations between India and Cambodia, of course, will extend much forward as far as, extending its influence in the ASEAN countries is concerned. So, of course, it's also about increasing influence of India and the ASEAN countries, and that is why through investment, because we've already had a lot of significant civilizational ties we've had, historical linkages have been there, cultural linkages have been there, but Vice President Mohammed Ansari has been harping on the fact that those civilizational and cultural ties have to be transformed now into a solid, consolidated economic exchange, and that is where probably China has stepped in. China has had a significant investment in a country like Cambodia, and that is where India is lagging behind. And the focus again yesterday and today was that we need to increase the economic ties.
Absolutely. A new impetus, hopefully, in ties between India and Cambodia after the Vice President's visit. Neelu Vyas-Thomas, thanks very much for joining us with that. We're moving on now to some international news. A day after Hungary shut down its borders, migrants found a new route to reach the northern European countries. The first batch has already reached Croatia and is waiting for the Croat government for a green signal to move to their next destination. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama extended cooperation to European nations to tackle the crisis.
Buses carrying hundreds of migrants were rerouted to Croatian border as Hungary shut down its borders, imposing tough restrictions. Despite tougher border controls, migrants remain determined to reach their destination. Some even started to reach Croatian borders by foot, hoping to reach Germany.
Near the Croatia borders, we want to cross the border to Croatia to continue to Europe because Hungary closed the borders, and anyone across the borders in Hungary were arrested.
يعني حتى إذا كانت مسكرة أعبر برا عادي. المهم أوصل لأنه نحن قرفانين، تعرف يعني قرفانين؟ مشان الطفلة، أنا بدي مشان طفلتي أمن لها مستقبل والبيبي اللي ببطني بدي أروح يعني أشوف إنه حياة أفضل لبنتي.
In Germany, the government representatives and experts held discussions on the challenges that the country faced due to huge influx of migrants. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has announced 40,000 additional beds for migrants. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama extended cooperation to European states to tackle the migrant crisis.
Bundesangebote unterbreitet. Der Bundesinnenminister Thomas de Maizière hat das gemacht, wie der Bund bei der Zurverfügungstellung von Plätzen die Länder noch entlasten kann. Hier ist ein Angebot unterbreitet worden von bis zu 40.000 Plätzen. Die Details werden.
We ultimately have to deal with the source of the problem, which is the ongoing crisis in Syria, and we discussed how we can continue to strengthen that cooperation, and I discussed the fact that the United States feels it is important for us to also take our share of Syrian refugees as part of this overall humanitarian effort.
At Serbia's border with Hungary, hundreds of migrants staged a sit-in protest against the new border fence, leading authorities to close the main road from Belgrade to Budapest. Hungary has begun a crackdown on migrants. 367 of them have been detained for entering the country illegally. Criminal proceedings have been initiated against them. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, in response to North Korea's threats of resuming operations at its main nuclear facility, the US has warned it to refrain from irresponsible provocation. The White House has advised North Korea to direct its energies towards fulfilling international obligations. The US said it should work on maintaining regional peace and stability. The North's main ally, China, also said that it opposed any nuclear weapons development on the Korean peninsula. Satellite images of the Yangbyon complex suggest that work has started there. The North on Tuesday said innovations are being made to improve the quality and quantity of its weapons. Pyongyang has issued several threats that it could use weapons against arch rival South Korea and its ally, the US, at any time.
We are, of course, monitoring the current situation on the Korean Peninsula, and we've seen recent provocative statements. We think those only heighten tensions. We call on Pyongyang to refrain from actions and rhetoric that threaten regional peace and stability and security in the area. And the department continues to urge North Korea to refrain from irresponsible actions that aggregate tensions and violate UN Security Council resolutions.
Time now for all the sporting action in Sports Beat. Shuttler PV Sindhu started her campaign at Korea Open with a half over Thailand's Ratchanok. Sindhu defeated her opponent 21-19, 21-23, 21-13. But in the men's sections, P. Kashyap lost the opening round in the men's singles event. He lost to Wei Nan of Hong Kong in 3 games. Cristiano Ronaldo moved 3 clear of Lionel Messi at the top of the Champions League scoring charts. He scored a hat-trick against Shakhtar Donetsk in a 4-0 win on Tuesday. Ronaldo now has 80 Champions League goals with 8 in his last 2 games. Barcelona forward Lionel Messi will appear in his 100th Champions League game for the club as Barcelona open the defence of their crown against AS Roma. Messi has scored 77 goals and is 3 behind Cristiano Ronaldo at the top of the Champions League's goal-scoring charts. Well, that's a wrap on the news at 6. But before we go, we leave you with this daredevil act by Australian Kay Peterson, who crossed almost 300 metres above Melbourne's skyline, walking on a tightrope between the Eureka Towers.